Yeah, we renew it and yes. Well, we've been doing several changes. Yeah, and here are part of our team leads and the companies that work with us. And we really follow up with advances on the studies. We are really today we're eager to get to know how is it going and how you perceive globally prevalence. Yeah, and right now with different news that we have as well on Venezuela, that it's new publicly, but I think it was expected. Yeah, it was expected, and it was known internally that they were having these issues. But right now we have publicly in America announced Venezuela, Colombia, and Peru. Peru is hitting hard. Yep. And we're really worried, mostly because of the small producers in the agro sector, which are really near to the Peruvian side. And there have been several efforts with the government and with the agriculture, nevertheless. It's something that we need to take into account on the varieties, and I think varieties are the only thing that is going to work.
Yes, yeah, definitely so. And one should put your short, medium, longer term things, because some varieties are probably not the ideal variety, but I think not for the short term. Over the longer term, hopefully there will be new things. I'm quite fortunate that I know many of the people working on these things and also some of the progress on these things. And I think the most stable thing that you will find is the breeding efforts that's happening at the moment, but it's always also the slowest. And the problem with that, it might take you 10 or 12 years to get there, and then people do not like the food, the taste. That's the concern.
Productivity as well.
Productivity, I think, would be okay. Because, you know, a breeding effort is such that there's continuous and parent selection and all stuff. And then the other one is more true to type, but it might be either not accepted by the public, the GMOs, or it might be less stable. You know, a hybrid is more stable than a mutant. So one has to look at these things as positives and negatives. But what I can tell you is there's a lot of people to learn. And I think the two things that's strongest will be the breeding projects and the gene editing that's going to start.
How do you see, for example, the varieties that will be tested by Calidad and India here, that is Fusarium Raza?
Right. I know Fusarium very well, very well, because we first tested it in my country in, I think, 2003 and 2004. And I've been telling Freddie about the history, and I can probably quickly repeat it, but Fusarium was made available at the time for free, simply because Taiwan was isolated. And one of the ways to get them really involved was to make Fusarium available. But at that stage, the fungus has never spread to any other area. Things have changed since. So it's now coming into the heartland of production. It's already caused significant damage in Australia. You know, Australia had an industry of about 400,000 hectares of banana. And it's severely affected by TR4. It's spread uncontrollably. So they have moved into other countries, neighboring countries, for production, contaminated those countries. So it's now spreading there. It's also spreading to local varieties that they actually use for local consumption and not average necessarily. India is the biggest producer of banana in the world, growing almost 50% of their 800,000 hectares for average. It's already in 3 provinces, coming up from the north, coming down. It's smaller farms. It's out of control because it's always been detected too late. So that is one of the messages, that the quicker you detect this in a country, the more you can do to stop this disease. But suddenly now, Formosanna is almost the only thing that's available. I hear that there's a goal selection. I haven't seen this. To be honest, I've seen no data of this goal, which is apparently a mutant. And they have a second banana also called C4 that they also market, the C4. So the C4 is coming from Formosanna. And what has been happening in the Philippines with Formosanna is that a lot of companies got it and they continuously select the higher yielding and better adapted clone that they have and multiply that. But they give it a new name as well. And University has selected the T4 and then basically commercialized it through Rahan, who is now selling it. The other side of this whole thing, sorry, I'm now talking.
No, don't worry. We were starting to.
Yeah, the other side of this thing is that suddenly Formosanna that was freely available earlier has now suddenly become a commercial entity. So it's being sold and some people have rights to it. So Calitech is in this region and then the international distributor will be the Royal Laboratories in South Africa. And people are asking, but why suddenly? Is this a different banana than the previous banana? Yes, it is. It's a further selection, which I would not say that it is more resistant than it was before, but it's a little bit more stable than before. And secondly, TBRI.
Our training coordinator.
I'm also good to meet you. Thank you. And TBRI, who is basically producing, is now not being funded by the Chinese government, so they need to ask a royalty to be able to survive and to continue developing things. What I want to tell you also, Freddie, I've never told you this, is that they've got at least 3 new simultaneous. Better, higher producing, and more stable than Formosanna. So they're testing it now in Taiwan, but it's also being tested in other countries, which I cannot say where it is. But it just means that it's important for TBRI to continuously, they are really the world leaders in this, to continue producing this plant. And for that, they need some funding to move forward.
Altus, before we step in more detail, because it's really interesting to hear about all the varieties, what's the environment right now on the airport and the advances, the different studies. And I want to thank Freddie from Receive. I heard that yesterday's forum was a success. I wanted to be there, but my team was there. I was the people, and yesterday for other things that we needed to attend. And nevertheless, today we wanted to post this lunch with you because we've been always addressing this issue through our forum, but I wanted to extend this invitation to some of our affiliates today, and I wanted them as well to have a conversation with you and also address different questions that the sector may need. And first of all, I wanted them to introduce themselves and then we start lunch and a small conversation about this. And we're really glad to have you here in AEBE. Your house, Steve's house, and with our affiliates right now. So we start with Pablo.
Hey, hello, nice to meet you. My name is Pablo de la Vega. and we are with Milton Carvajal. He is the quality manager in Ecuador. We work for FIVES. And we have currently in Ecuador a farm, an organic farm is located in the Villa La Costa, close to a town called Progreso. So for us, it's very important to know about all the development that we have currently to prevent the disease, so we can improve the protocols that currently we have in place in the farm. So we're very happy to have this opportunity to share with you. Okay, yes. No. Emilio Carvajal, quality manager, is right of Altus.
Yes, yes.
Bueno, me presento en español. Altus already knows me, so mi nombre es Juan Manuel Ceballos. Soy el director del CIBA en este momento en la escuela del Centro de Biotecnología. Estuvimos, bueno, ayer compartiendo con Altus y, bueno, un gusto estar aquí también compartiendo con ustedes y estamos a las órdenes en lo que podamos también contribuir.
Buenos días, buenas tardes ya. Freddy Magdama, un gusto estar aquí nuevamente en la AEBE. Como dijo Juan Manuel, tenemos una visión como CIBE, como SPOL, en generar un impacto en el sector bananero. Estamos decididos en hacerlo. Y una de nuestras estrategias es a través de las alianzas. Altus es uno de nuestros mayores aliados en la lucha contra Fusarium y otras enfermedades. En banano ya venimos trabajando en investigación en algunos aspectos y justamente nos visita por algunos proyectos que tenemos y por nuestro aniversario que quisimos hacer un evento para continuar con este proyecto de concientizar al sector, de que no bajemos las alertas, mucho más que ahora está en Venezuela, como ya lo conocen. Seguir en una constante campaña, no solo de advertir de que esto es serio, sino de buscar conjuntamente soluciones. Entonces, de nuestra parte, agradecidos por recibirnos y estar teniendo esta oportunidad de intercambiar ideas.
Hola, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Agustín Delgado, coordinación legal de AEBE. Good afternoon, doctor. My name is Agustín Delgado, legal area of this association.
My name is Mario Lara. I represent Banana Sheep. We are a third-generation producer and exporters directly. This is my brother. We're really interested, well, not only on the production side of it and how we can contain or adapt for the new varieties, but also one question that I do have. What about the studies on the shelf life on the new varieties from an exporting point of view? That's something that we would really like to find out a little bit later on.
Muy buenas tardes con todos. Mi nombre es Luis Mario Lara. Somos productores bananeros ya casi por cerca de 60 años. Muchísimas gracias por esta invitación que nos han hecho. And doctor, thank you very much for your time.
Buenas tardes con todos. Mi nombre es Diego Carranza y representamos a la compañía de Export Time.
They represent member of our association that is Export Time.
Buenas tardes, Luis Betancourt y representamos a la compañía Export Time, Departamento de Calidad.
They're in charge of quality.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es José Echeverría, trabajo en AEBE del grupo GOM.
Is part of the group in Europa.
Buenas tardes, Alfredo Castro. Trabajo para Llena Fruit, productores y exportadores de banano.
He's one of the part of AEBE.
But if I can just say something, I'm really honored to be here. I don't want to be called doctor. It's a little uncomfortable for me because I'm also kind of nervous to be here. Still, it's been wonderful for me to come and visit Ecuador. I think it's the fifth visit at the moment, and I've learned a lot from the country as well. There's never that you only bring something to the country, you always learn from the country as well. I've been fortunate. I told Freddy today, I'm shocked to know that it's now almost 25 years that I've been working on Fusarium. And since 2008, it was mostly on PR4. So I had the opportunity to go to countries and learn tremendously before it got into my country. And we could respond immediately after that. And for this, I'm really happy that people in Ecuador are showing the same kind of enthusiasm to learn as much as possible before the Congress comes here and you have to do this. So it's a huge honor for me to be with you, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Un honor para el doctor Altus poder estar aquí con nosotros. 25 años ha estado involucrado con la investigación en torno a la enfermedad de Fusarium Raza 4, una amplia experiencia, y son aliados estratégicos con el que he venido trabajando de la mano. Él está contento en cómo Ecuador y las diferentes instituciones demuestran siempre un gran interés de poder aprender el entorno y los diferentes avances, cómo se está dando previo a tener un anuncio de ya que el Fusarium esté aquí, sino más bien tratar los temas de prevención y conocimiento de los diferentes avances. So, for us, it's an honor to have you here, and today is mostly talking on the advances and how you're starting on the introduction.
Yeah.
For sure, our members have questions, as Mario has stated, one on shelf life and new varieties, and how are you seeing not only in the advances on the studies that you have, but also on the other institutions that are also advancing, and how other countries are reacting to the disease on the different tests. I always see also different news on Australia right now. It was really reacting to the disease and the consequences that they're having within their
with the shelf life. We'll talk about that quickly. I cannot give you the detail on this, but what I can tell you is that it's not only exported from the Philippines to Japan and to the Middle East, it's also being exported from the Middle East and might be to Japan as well. So that takes quite a while for them to get it to the markets on the other side. And I've never heard any feedback that things happen with life different from the regular. What I have heard is that some of the clones, and this is different from Horizona, do have some post-harvest issues. For instance, stem splitting or fruit splitting, and that is you can manage it, but this is something that you don't want. And for Musana apparently does not have that problem. In terms of I would not know how Europe and also US will compromise. I think this is one of the things that you have to obviously. But Japan, it seems, sometimes are a little bit experimental, and especially Saudi Arabia, Dubai, and other countries have a little bit of flexibility, and they like the fruit. So I think that is okay. The value of this phenomenon is that I think it's a good position. I really think so. The reason for it is that it's not producing as much as what you will get with the village. But obviously the losses are going to be much less unless you allow the fungus to build up so much in your field that you cannot really get it. Then the losses will go up. So the strategy, at least in the Philippines, is to have scouts identify as soon as possible if they see the disease to destroy, and then replant after that. And in this way, they keep the pressure of the TR4 low enough for the sauna to do very well. They also use microbes.
Eso habría que profundizar un poquito y es importante que entiendan lo que dicen en cuanto a formosana, que si bien es cierto es un material tolerante que se siembra, si la cantidad de esporas que hay en el suelo es demasiado alto, la plantación comienza a morir. Entonces por eso él habla de tolerante, porque hay que manejar el inóculo que está en el suelo. Es decir, mantenerlo suprimido o en niveles bajos para que la planta responda bien. Una de las estrategias que hacen en Filipinas es tener equipos de monitoreo para que apenas aparezcan los síntomas en la planta, la cortan, le dan el tratamiento que deben y así evitan que el hongo se propague. Entonces ese es el mensaje clarito. Para formosana puede llegar a producir. La plantación puede seguir siendo productiva, no tanto al mismo nivel que estamos acostumbrados, pero siempre y cuando los niveles del hongo en el suelo sean bajos. Porque, can you say the example? I don't remember where, but you said that Formosana was planted, but the soil inoculum was so high that Formosana still perished. What was the case in what country?
That was the work that's been done by James Stark in his genetic modification trial.
Sí.
And he's actually published the information because they inoculate the plants to make sure that they. And in the publication, he mentioned up to 70% losses.
Hay un caso, por ejemplo, un investigador en Australia, se llama James Dell, uno de los mayores científicos en edición, en transformación genética y esas cosas. Él tiene allá una plantación modelo donde hay suelo con bastante carga de hongo. Él justamente para hacer esos comparativos con las líneas que él está desarrollando, ha sembrado formosana y en esas condiciones, cuando hay bastante inóculo, las pérdidas han llegado hasta el 70%.
Incluso hay una preocupación en países como el nuestro que todavía no tiene el hongo. Y se ingresa formosana de una forma que no está muy equilibrada, podría incluso estarse enmascarando la llegada del hongo, ¿no? Es decir, puede que el hongo llegue, pero por tener formosana no se detecta o se tarda en detectar y se afecta a los demás productores, ¿no? Y esas son cosas que hay que tener presentes también, ¿no? I was telling that there is some concerns, like when you introduce varieties like formosana that has a certain level of tolerance. If you don't do it in a very even way, it will even mask the entry of the pathogen in countries like us that we don't have still tier 4. But you know, some growers last because they have formation. Terrible, that would be detrimental. Entonces, también debemos seguir manteniendo las medidas de bioseguridad, los controles, ¿no? Especialmente los productores orgánicos. Bastante serio, ¿no?
Really, I think it's also important to stress here that even though James found that 70%, this is not a natural situation, right? This is an inoculated situation. Right? If you go to reality in the Philippines, where they keep the inoculum low, the losses are between 5 and 10% continuously.
Lo que él enfatiza es que hay que hacer una diferenciación clara. El ejemplo que les mencioné en Australia es el extremo, porque ese investigador ha cargado el suelo con bastantes esporas. Pero en una situación real, por ejemplo en Filipinas, donde se siembra formosana vastamente, las pérdidas no llegan más allá del 5%. Entonces es una gran diferencia.
Una vez, cuando hablas de pérdidas, es en cantidad de plantas
muertas. Plantas
por hectárea.
Sí. No. Sí, en total, sí.
What would be an average percentage on the drop of production, the decrease of the production once we switch from Cavendish to Formosana or any C4 or other clone? What would be something that we would understand as an acceptable or what would be the percentage that we should target or expect once we do the switch? Is there a number there, an average?
There is a number there, and that number was actually determined in Taiwan. Okay, so it might be different here, but originally it was about 20%. Okay, right now they have improved that So they continued selection, and it's less than that.
With Formosana, C4, or both?
Cannot
No.
speak for C4.
Okay,
I don't know.
Formosana.
Yes,
Okay, perfect.
Formosana. So I think the losses are less at the moment.
Okay.
The reason why there's a drop is because it's slower growing banana than the Williams banana. That is one of the things. But what they've also found in the Philippines is that the bunches are the same size or even bigger than the Williams bunches. But it's just the growth, the cycle, that's a little bit slower.
One thing that really concerns me is what you mentioned earlier about that it's not that we cannot treat this switch of variety as individual producers, like a private company. I think, Antonio, we need to take a country approach on the switch. We as a country, I would say, select Formosana. Okay, we as a country need to take into consideration from the organics and the conventional, like which variety are we want to take as I would say as a whole, as a country, and not as private individuals or private companies that we will go different ways, because like you said, we will be masking the effects once the
entry, and we are working on that. We are working with the INEAD and the Ministry of Agriculture in this universal variety for Ecuador that we plan to work with Berkeley. It will be a gene-edited variety, and we plan it to be resistant, fully resistant. And with Berkeley, we are negotiating with Berkeley this license, this country-wide license, and the distribution will start later on. But that's something that still will take several years.
First of all, please start. But on the side of the question, and one of the things that we can with the government for all the process that we have been going, also taking into consideration the efforts on that the government did with a committee of emergency. Taking it as one of the biggest alerts for the country.
Right.
We had different technical nevertheless, one of the big initiatives, because there were 4 types of varieties to be tested here, and the committee from the Ministry of Agriculture set up what's the protocol in order to start testing them. And one of the varieties that was accepted on how it was the protocol and how they follow up the protocols was Formosana. So right now it's being tested by Agrocalidad and INEAD, but the process is going to take about 2 to 3 years more. No, right now it's been 1 year, so I think 2 more years, 1 year and a half.
2024.
2024, 2025. Yeah, and within that process is to be tested on how the variety reacts on Ecuadorian soil. Productivity, tastes, but what we're telling and what we're insisting is that we don't only have to have one only option. Right now we only have one only option being tested here, and we need to have several varieties to be tested, because the time that it takes in order to do it, as you said, as a country, it's 2 to 3 years. So we need to be tested. We need to be testing different varieties. So
So the time to do the test is about 3 years.
2 to 3 years. So we're right now 1 year off for Formosana, but the other ones are still to be accepted by the seeds committee. And that's what we've been dealing with, the different changes with the Ministry of Agriculture. But that's one of the things that we're addressing, and there's other initiatives within the academia, CIBE, with Berkeley, that you mentioned that they're working with the different authorities that are also being addressed.
Formosana would work as an organic crop and as a conventional crop the same way? Is it possible? Yes.
I think.
No.
I think we need to be set. For my comment, so proper fertilization, proper irrigation, and if you want to go fully organic, I think you should just have a look what it is. It's unfortunately a plant that needs to be pampered. Okay, it has to be taken very well care of.
Okay. So all the agricultural labor has to be in a timely manner, even more than capital.
Yes.
Okay. And we need to adjust with our teams at our farms.
Yes, and what you also need to know is that it is not like a cultivar that it has exactly equalness. So there is variation. It's going to be there. And some people might think it's exactly a cultivar. It's not a cultivar. It's a mutant. So you're going to find some variation, but this also gives you an opportunity to continue selection and find something that is working better than then probably the first test that's going to be through this. So whoever is testing this in India, then they have to continuously select and they have to bring you onto that place. We look with them and say, all right, we like this trait, we do not like this trait. But it's a piece of work that you have to continue. And I absolutely agree with you. Bring in C4. Bring in any option that you can possibly bring to test in it.
And that's right now we've been impulsing that nevertheless. Yeah. It is a huge challenge, but one of the biggest initiatives on the Committee of Emergency was the acceptance of Formosan.
Yes.
We impose that because right now if we look 1 year before, I think if we haven't done the emergency committee, we haven't been testing any of the wire. So that's an advance. Nevertheless, we need to keep pushing.
Yes, and then there are some things. Maybe negotiations need to start with the Chinese. They've got this new China 4. I do not think it will fare that well here, but it's still worth the while to bring it in and test it. I know there is some.
And what about the variety that is being tested by CIRAD, that is called Ruby variety? I know that in Colombia it has gone really well. I've talked with the leaders there, and the tests on Ruby has gone really well. What are your thoughts on?
I do not know. I do not know. I don't know how it's gonna fare. I need to learn exactly how to eat this.
Yes.
Yeah, so is Ruby, is it a hybrid? What is it exactly?
I think it's a hybrid. Es un resultado de cosas, ¿no? Sí, ahí dice.
So it's going to be about well.
Different than Cavendish, though.
Yeah. So that might matter.
They told me that productivity was an issue, but taste was not an issue. Ahí, el tema de la variedad es algo que nos preocupa bastante. Partíamos con el doctor. Hoy tenemos solo una opción de variedad que está pasando por el proceso y los protocolos de seguridad con INIAP y con agrocalidad, que es Formosana 208. Y esos procesos para ver la adaptabilidad del suelo ecuatoriano toman, hasta que se haga comercial, toma de 2 o 3 años. Ya 1 año en ese proceso, pero ya el ingreso a la variedad de contacto, Formosana 208. Pero algo que hemos venido impulsando es que haya un número de variedades, porque no sabemos cuál se va a adaptar mejor al suelo ecuatoriano. No son los terrenos del C4 o del Río, diferentes tipos de variedades de afuera, donde quizás no ha tenido un buen comportamiento, pero quizás acá estamos, aquí sí, y no tenemos que descartar eso. Entonces ahora solo contamos con el proceso de formosana, pero queremos que puedan ingresar las demás, la opción de GAL, de Rama Meristem, la opción de C4, la opción también que están testeando en Colombia, que está desarrollada por CIRAT, que se llama Rubí. Entonces hay diferentes opciones, porque al final del día yo creo que la solución puntual a esto va a ser...
Hay algo importante que es, o sea, lo que mencionó José Antonio, es el número de años que toma esto en ser aprobado, ¿no? Mientras tanto, hay que tratar en lo posible de mantener la plaga fuera. Y a mí me preocupan muchísimo algunas prácticas que, bueno, no las he visto porque no voy mucho al campo, ¿no? Tal vez Freddy las ha visto, pero sí llegan a mis oídos algunas prácticas de gente que trae plantas de, no sé, de Perú o de Colombia para probar. Eso es peligrosísimo, ¿no? Se escapan los controles. Yo sé que de aquí nadie hace eso, pero seguramente algunos pequeños productores lo hacen y nosotros como academia siempre estamos capacitando a la gente, tratando de hacer estos eventos. El evento de ayer, por ejemplo, fue algo que lo organizamos nosotros, pero es importante transmitir la palabra. Agrocalidad lo está haciendo, pero no, eso preocupa bastante, ¿no? Eh, es- y es posible, ¿no? Nosotros desarrollamos el año pasado, hace 2 años, la aplicación 2021 como para evitar estos problemas. ¿No? Hay una aplicación que es gratuita, se la pueden bajar en el celular, Fusarium Sensor. Ustedes la pueden tener en su celular y si ven alguna planta sospechosa, le toman una foto e inmediatamente eso la evalúa el equipo de Freddy, porque una vez que ingrese la plaga, hay que tratar de contenerla. O sea, el siguiente paso es evitar que se distribuya aún más, ¿no? Entonces, si se detecta lo más rápido posible, se puede todavía hacer algo para que no afecte. Entonces, en eso todavía hay que trabajar bastante. Y
Perdone, ¿cómo dijo el nombre de la aplicación?
Fusarium Sensor S. Ahí le puede...
En los App Store.
En App Store o Google.
Pueden buscar.
Sensor S. Es totalmente gratis. Ahí hay manuales también, capacitación.
Sí, pueden bajarse de manuales,
Claro, claro.
notificaciones.
Quizás también la concientización me contaba nuestro padre que cuando llegó la cigartoca negra, porque a mí dice, a mí me tocó lidiar con la cigartoca negra, a ustedes le va a tocar lidiar con algo que vamos a tener que aprender a vivir, y que hay que retrasarlo lo que más se pueda. Pero me decía que en aquella época nadie quería ser el primero de decir, me cayó, sí, y hay que, creo que romper esa barrera o esa vergüenza de decir, ¿sabes qué? Ya me cayó a mí.
Pero eso es confidencial, ¿no? O sea, si alguien le cayó, claro, le toma la foto, solamente lo sabremos de la escuela y agrocalidad, ¿no? Pues no lo...
Claro, confidencial, pero al final lo andamos todos esos, ¿sabes? Pero creo que es romper ese paradigma.
De hecho, lo diseñamos, esa aplicación justamente fue diseñada basada en nuestra realidad, porque sabemos que el productor, y entendemos, ¿no? Tiene miedo de decir, tengo raza 4.
Le cierran la finca.
Exacto, y es verdad, o sea, es tangible, sabemos la realidad de los productores. Entonces, el mecanismo que nosotros implementamos, el mecanismo que implementamos es que el productor toma una foto para una planta sospechosa, ¿verdad? No quiere decir que tenga Fusarium, pero tiene dudas. Esa foto llega a la nube y nos llega a nosotros. Y nosotros evaluamos esa foto y dependiendo del riesgo, el nivel de riesgo que presente, sintomatología, información que compartan a través de esa foto, nos ponemos en contacto con ustedes y les damos recomendaciones.
Con el app tienes la georreferencia.
Sí, correcto. Si ustedes quieren o confían en el consejo, pueden subir su número de teléfono y más información y se los guía. Primero para decir de que no están solos, de que tienen una asesoría técnica detrás y de que lo mejor es controlar el brote en ese momento si es que fuese. ¿Y cómo lo hacemos? Vamos con la autoridad, va a la academia y lo hacemos conjunto. La idea es remover ese miedo, porque ya sabemos lo que pasado en otros países cuando no se comunica, es peor. Eso es lo que queremos remover, el miedo de no reportar. Entonces, esa es la funcionalidad principal de la... Aparte hay otras que te comunica qué cursos, qué talleres, qué workshops existen sobre Fusarium. Y el tercer componente es que te permite descargar manuales, guías técnicas, todo relacionado con Fusarium. Entonces, todo eso está en esa app.
La guía de síntomas está ahí también.
La guía de síntomas. Oh, me olvidé. Imágenes. La guía, yo tenía impreso, la guía de...
Y bueno, pero a nosotros sí nos preocupa. Cuando nosotros lanzamos esta, ¿no? Invitamos a todo el mundo y conseguimos financiamiento para que sea gratuito, o sea, no cuesta nada y nos preocupa que en realidad muy pocos la usan, ¿no? Entonces no sé si quizás a través de ustedes, en sus redes, ¿no? Se pueda difundir esta información porque es para la protección del sector bananero, es para la protección de los mismos, ¿no?
Estamos abiertos incluso a dar capacitaciones gratis a sus compañías, a sus jefes técnicos. Nuestra meta es que cada usuario que tenga la app sea un sensor fitosanitario.
Correcto.
Porque no hay personal que recorra las fincas más que sus técnicos. Sus técnicos están en el día a día recorriendo las fincas, entonces, y tienen un teléfono. Entonces, si ven algo sospechoso, los reportan a los supervisores y envían la información técnica.
Sí, en ese sentido podría ser algo interesante. Todos los exportadores son surtidores.
Así es.
Podrían hacer esta socialización y mencionar
Ejercicio.
de tener esta aplicación.
Sí. Y queremos fuertemente, porque nos costó muchísimo lograr esta aplicación, de que se use, porque la usabilidad es lo que me preocupa. Y yo sé que hay necesidad afuera. El problema ahorita es la comunicación, campañas de comunicación. Miren, les doy un ejemplo. Ayer que presenté en el simposio, un capture de la usabilidad. Lo están usando en Bolivia, en Chile, en Colombia, en Costa Rica. Tengo usabilidad incluso en España. La curiosidad les llama la atención y comienzan a monitorear, a usar. Pero lo que más me interesa es que Ecuador la use. Que Ecuador la use y en gran cantidad, o sea, que los productores la adopten dentro de sus sistemas semanales o mensuales de monitoreo.
En el lanzamiento lo habíamos reenviado a todos, pero vamos a hacer una nueva actualización con todo el gremio. Y lo otro, podíamos agregar un módulo de discusión ahora el foro que tenemos de Machala, donde vamos a tener a una gran cantidad de productores que ya están inscribiéndose, ya tenemos el módulo de...
Ese es en mayo, ¿verdad?
Sí, es en junio.
Junio, ya.
2021 de junio. Y además tenemos ahí algunos segmentos que estamos sacando ahorita en discusión que están siendo bastante recibidos, no solo aquí en Ecuador, pero afuera, que son los banana bites, y podemos hacer algo en torno a la discusión
Por favor,
y eso lo vamos a coordinar con Juan Fernando, que nos está acompañando acá, y es coordinador de comunicación.
Gracias.
Entonces es algo que lo tenemos que manejar así.
Algunos ya están pensando en planes de monitoreo aéreo, ¿no? De las fincas, con aviones o con drones. Eso funciona muy bien, pero ya cuando la plaga ha entrado, ¿no? O sea, nosotros ahorita lo que queremos hacer con esta app es la primera, cuando llega una planta enferma, eso no lo detecta el avión, no lo detecta el dron, ¿no? Pero el app sí lo detecta. Entonces, está bien, o sea, que si quieren, poner un sistema de monitoreo aéreo con aviones, drones, no hay problema, pero el primer caso no se va a detectar con aviones ni con drones. Entonces sí es importante que estén pendientes de eso y monitorear cada uno sus fincas para proteger la industria.
I have one question on the monitoring, and we've been talking with the university also, and they've been doing different work in Peru on mapping the disease. Would you recommend, just like for example, to start doing it in Ecuador, how they're dealing with the investigation on the disease? Does this satellite monitoring works? I wanted to know also the point of view on because we're discussing it internally or to doing focus points, starting a lot.
I've been talking to Freddie a little bit, you know, taking the priorities things first. You have to look at a few things. I wouldn't even think about mapping, but at this stage, I would think about prevention and all ways of trying to make sure that it doesn't come in. So mapping to me makes a lot of sense from the immediate side to know how it's spreading and what is the risk coming together. But for you to see that as one of the priorities, I don't think this is one of your priorities at this stage. Once it starts spreading in the country, yes, then it becomes one of the things. I certainly think there are other things. The number one is having an assisted plant, obviously. The second thing is monitoring. Also, you know, the people that have farms that's contaminated on the other side, what's the movement into this country? And I know there's some illegal movement into the country as well. But there are ways to try and prevent that movement of the pathogen that is probably more than mapping or satellite images. I would really go and look at 1, 2, 3, 4 priorities for Ecuador to protect its industry at this stage. And it's not only resistant bananas that plantain need to be tested as well. Yes. I mean, this is a very important aspect of it. And I don't want to go into awareness of all of those things because there's a lot of on the airport and I've seen in the different areas of the awareness that there is. But there's nice to have and there is essential things. And I think mapping at this stage for you guys is not an essential thing. It's just a personal opinion. I have a question for you also. 5 years, 10 years from now, how flexible do you think your market would be? So, do you think there is ability to move in terms of the taste or the type of banana that's being exported?
That's something, that's a tricky question. And I think Ecuador has an advantage on that regard, because since all other the producing countries have already been contaminated. Yes. And they will start producing a different variety first. I think that will give us an advantage, a commercial advantage, because the new fruit, the new variety, the fruit is going to arrive to these markets that we share with Colombia, Peru, and Central America, with before than the Ecuadorian fruit, hopefully, and hopefully that head start will be a few years. So we will learn how, I think Ecuador has the opportunity to learn how the market reacts to these new varieties that other countries are going to, or are forced to produce first. So I think we're getting close to learn how the market will react. I think from our perspective.
And I think as well, I'm ending the question back, but how is the Asian market reacting?
Well, you mentioned something about Japan.
Yeah, Japan market it's no problem for them. They take it in, and there's a different summer clone selection that they also imported for. And that's what the offspring of the 119 low growing very resistant. And they like that phenomenon, but the management of the fruits is difficult because 119 has the splits and the little box is get that back thing out. But it seems like at market and also the Japanese market. It's now, I guess your biggest market and also Europe.
European market
and how they would see the differences. Can you possibly from your side start a way to promote slightly unique, you know, even if you say it's an exclusive or this is a new taste or whatever, if you bring something in with a different taste, or would that be extremely difficult for you to do?
Right now, as a campaign outside, I think we need to wait. Wait. Yeah. Because it's too early to start a campaign on a new phase when
there's nothing really.
Correct, and we're hopefully going to have this information from the other countries on how their markets are, and we share. So, for example, for Colombia, it will be also the varieties that they're advancing and how the market will
because the Ecuadorian fruit and the Colombian fruit will be probably at the same time, different varieties at the same market. And then we'll have a benchmark on how to or try to determine what are the client's preferences. But we'll have to wait a little bit.
So the work on prevention is
that's key. That's key. And not only taste, because a big segment of the market, they for them the looks is also important. Yeah. Not only how it tastes, but how it looks. Yeah.
Now, one question, because this is going to happen sooner or later. Will happen. So, what would be the best option to, even though we have all the protocols and we implement these the action to prevent this habit, and at that point we'll have to start doing the switch, or as will happen, maybe it is better to start doing after we have the approved variety. Doing the change.
This is just my feeling. I will start to switch only once the disease is here. I will start to switch now. I have so many questions for you, but one is, how many of your growers are Ecuadorian people and not multinational companies coming in here? Is it 80%, 90%?
No, I think 70-30 something.
I think 80-20. We have 8,400 growers, but then it's 80% national, and I think about
micro and small producers. Out of those 8,000, 70% are micro and small producers. Yes. Middle and big ones are the rest of the.
So the social impact is what it means.
The question that I tried to ask is what they did is one but obviously Ecuadorian growers will not move into it, will be a multinational company moving out of the country.
But 8,400 producers, 4,400 are small ones.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that
where are they? Are they to the south or where?
Small ones are
I'd say just an interesting question about gene-edited plants. Would that be a problem if there is something available? Gene-edited plants?
Here in Ecuador, you can.
Ecuador?
Yeah, you can grow gene edited.
They will accept
additives.
Okay.
So the problem is our markets.
Europe
and our clients, especially Europe, they wouldn't accept. They are working more there.
They are working on it. Now there are discussions on the European Parliament on security. With security.
So obviously the research needs to continue. I was just curious how this would affect you.
The transgenics we cannot grow. But gene edited plants. Constitution.
We have, we're politicians like any country, and it's quite difficult. In my country, GMOs are allowed, but not gene-edited plants.
Oh, really? Why is that?
Politicians.
And one in the discussions that we have in Europe with different academic actors, and how possible it is that you guys changed the constitutions, and I think it's really tough, bro.
Yeah. We are fighting that because it makes no sense.
Yeah, we had a visitor, he was a Nobel laureate, Sir, what was his name?
Oh my gosh. Sí.
Well,
Thomas? No, no.
yeah, he mentioned that he's trying to push this change for countries to accept GMOs because that's the solution for many problems and they are totally safe. And he once met with the president of Uganda several years ago. I don't know if it's still the same president, and the president was going to allow GMOs in Uganda. But at the last minute, when he was about to sign that decree, his wife and his daughter, they made him change his mind because they were in contact with some religious group in the US, and they told him, no, this is evil. So it's not only politics, it's also religion that affects the politicians.
There is just one data I just want to throw. Regarding the gene editing option, we just published a really good article, like a scientific article about the benefits for the entire world having a solution against TR4. So we took data from like 16 or 17 countries, including Ecuador, and we did a simulation. We took different variables. We did a simulation to estimate the losses because of TR4. And you please read that paper. It's just out there, and if you very important data. For instance, if we do nothing from this point to 40 years, the entire world will lost $400 billion due to TR4. We found that even having a solution in 2022, and due to like a delay on 5 years for regulations, we will lose $95 billion just because of that. And there are more data here. So that give us like really huge number of losses regarding the options. And the other thing that, if you allow me to explain a little bit, are the efforts, and I will switch to Spanish because I want them to really understand what we are doing at the spot and also with you.
He doesn't want you to hear.
This is no, lo que me interesa es que cuando están teniendo esfuerzos, estamos haciendo como sport. Si bien es cierto, hay opciones que se están desarrollando en el mundo y en otros lados, y está bien. Aún hay incertidumbre, ya sea por la productividad, los tiempos de retorno, incluso los problemas de propiedad intelectual o licenciamiento, no sabemos cómo se vaya a dar. Entonces, en Sport le hemos apostado a 2 proyectos al menos de mejoramiento. Uno es con mutagénesis. Estamos mutagenizando, vamos a mutagenizar plantas de banana. Sport ha invertido un dinero en un programa que lanzamos justamente. Y parte de ese programa es mejorar líneas élite de banana, es decir, plantas que estén adaptadas para nuestras condiciones y mutagenizarlas, causar mutaciones y seleccionarlas. Frente a Raza 4, para eso nuestra colaboración con Altus, porque él puede inocular esas plantas con Raza 4 y decirnos cuál tiene una mejor probabilidad de sobrevivir, lo que llamamos tolerantes o medianamente resistentes. Ese es un esfuerzo. Pero el que más nos interesa y hemos estado trabajando es una iniciativa nacional con Berkeley. Desde el 2018, Paul logró establecer una relación con el Centro de Innovación Genómica en California. En este grupo trabaja Jennifer Doudna, que es la Premio Nobel de Química. Ellos desarrollaron la tecnología de edición genética. Entonces escucharon la problemática y nos aceptaron. De hecho, en la segunda visita fuimos con el ministro, con delegados de las empresas, y les interesó y nos abrieron las puertas. Estamos ahorita empujando esta realidad. Lastimosamente hay mucha inestabilidad en el país. Fuimos con el ministro Pedro Álava, se cayó. Estábamos ya por firmar un acuerdo con el Estado, conversaciones con el INIAP. Acaba de salir el ministro, se volvió a caer. Y para la primera fase solo necesitamos $500,000. Porque el proyecto es de $20 millones. Pero ellos nos dijeron, consigamos esos $500,000 y nosotros nos encargamos de buscar otros aliados, porque este es un instituto internacional, ¿no? Trabajan y quieren hacerlo regional y tienen el poder de hacerlo. También estamos nosotros como plan B acudiendo a ustedes, a productores, haciéndoles saber de la iniciativa de este consorcio. De hecho, estamos formando un fideicomiso para que ustedes mismos manejen el dinero y sepan dónde va el dinero.
Y hay algunos que ya aceptaron.
Ya tenemos cuatro productores exportadores que están interesados y que nos han dado un ok, pero queremos que se sumen más porque queremos empujar esto. La verdad, con el Estado es muy poco probable que se dé. Por eso el plan B es que se sumen más actores a este proyecto para que ellos nos ayuden. Nos están tocando la puerta de ellos a nosotros. Y yo creo que no hay nadie más en el mundo más capaz que ellos, porque de ahí salió la tecnología. Y yo creo que nos puede beneficiar no solo en bananos, porque ellos vieron la oportunidad de mejorar para Fusarium, pero hablaron, ¿por qué no ya abordar el tema de cigatón? Hacer plantas no solo resistentes a Fusarium, sino a cigatón. Multiresistencia es lo que nosotros llamamos. Entonces, vamos a estar en contacto a través de José Antonio, por favor, para que sepan un poco más de la iniciativa, porque esto fue en el 2018 y ya como que se me está cayendo el proyecto y eso no quiero porque es una institución tan de envergadura mundial, ¿me entiendes? Que trabajan con gente, Bill Gates y todas estas fundaciones, y quieren y le han dado prioridad a Ecuador. Entonces, no perdamos la oportunidad porque tengo miedo que Colombia, Costa Rica u otro país salte y se lleve la iniciativa. Entonces, voy a estar con José Antonio, enviarles la información.
Hay que ser inmediato. Pues ya pasa bastante tiempo.
Sí, correcto.
Llega a Colombia, llega a Perú, alguien que ya está con el problema y se nos lleva esa oportunidad, sería un pecado.
Ellos nos escucharon porque tenemos una carta del presidente de la República que pidió el aval al premio Nobel para que tome el liderazgo. Y el premio Nobel le responde al presidente y le dice que sí, que acepta. Entonces, todos estos movimientos que hemos estado haciendo estos años ha sido con el gobierno, con la industria, para hacer esto realidad. Pero por alguna razón se ha caído. Entonces, tratemos de hacer esto realidad porque vamos a perder esa oportunidad única y tener nuestros propios materiales resistentes. Nos va a tomar 5 o 6 años, sí, pero ya estamos hablando de tecnología que va a venir a Ecuador, que nosotros mismos podemos hacer y manipular, y podemos incluso mejorar el banano ya otras características. Tenemos sabor, pensemos en textura, en vitaminas, suplementos, o sea, estamos hablando de tecnología de otra generación. Entonces, eso quería comentarles para que sepan en qué estamos, y si quieren unirse a la iniciativa, al fideicomiso, al consorcio, por favor, contacten.
Y hay varios que se han unido y vale la pena.
Sí.
Most definitely.
Eso si tengan alguna consulta para Altus y toman las variedades.
¿Tienen conocimiento si de pronto en Colombia, que detectaron la enfermedad, están trabajando con esta nueva variedad que mencionan que es resistente?
¿Cuál en particular? Formosana.
Ajá.
Sí, verás. He's asking about Colombia situation, if they are working with the Formosana variety. Ayer también estuvo con nosotros Sebastián Zapata. Él es director de Cenibanano en Colombia. Y me dice que sí, que tienen algunas que van a testear, es decir, a probar. Y que Formosana ya está saliendo del periodo de cuarentena. Es decir, ellos sí han introducido el material, pero recién está saliendo de los invernaderos de Lica y Agrociencias. Ha pasado todo este tiempo en cuarentena, en completo control, porque tienen que asegurarse de que no haya virus o alguna otra enfermedad que se pueda venir en ese tejido. Y sí van a probarlo. Lo que me sorprendió es que decían que solo están testeando los materiales invernaderos, en macetas, ni siquiera en suelo. Eso me sorprendió. Yo pensaba que lo estaban haciendo en el suelo.
Tiene lógica.
Sí, sí.
So what for you as investigators, what would you expect most from scientists or people that can actually help? What would be your priority right now? The resistance?
Resistance
Number one.
Because the solution on the prevention of course, everybody's doing a lot of efforts, but at the end, we need a specific solution. Yeah, that's a solid solution. And I think it's the only one, the medium and long term.
for the industry. And that's what we expect. And right now that we hear a lot of initiatives, there is really good initiatives that have been proven, but there is also a lot of noise.
Yes, of course.
So as an industry and also as producers, as exporters, and as a guild, hearing a lot of noise, we need so professionals such as yourselves, such as institutions that are going to the different studies to let us know which one is the one that handles same productivity, same taste, and that won't harm the markets that we already conquered for the past decades. And that's the biggest issue that we have.
Another question. I hope this is not big, but what do you expect from the government, from public that?
We expect a lot of things. Nevertheless, right now what we've been pushing is, first of all, that agrocalidad INEAP really funded in order to go into the different initiatives and support investigation and also support the initiatives that are ongoing on testing. Yes, that's key. And we've been pushing these issues. Nevertheless, here they know right now what's the environment that we have in the political arena, and how the institutions right now are also behaving, and what's the situation. But that's a challenge that we are facing right now. We expect also when the budget gets assigned, a lot of efforts on prevention as well that should be taken, and also support initiatives on a strategic alliance with the academy and AEBE, that they work together. Agrocalidad AEBE, because dealing with several industries on different sides, we expect one only solution. It's better to everybody to be unified within this solution, and I think that's one of the biggest challenges right now of the sector. We have a lot more, but this is one of the principal ones on understanding also internally that we need also private investment on investigation and private investment in order to unify all these institutions. So as a challenge, we are in. So we have set as well as a cluster.
In Africa, we have a little bit of similar situation, not as strictly as yours, it's around there. But also, I mean, this moves into small grower fields in Africa, in the really days. It's going to be food security issues and social issues immensely. And one of the priorities that we've identified now is to also look at the risk pathways and risk mitigation type of thing. We can address that. And the other thing was really to look at possible impact assessment to convince these politicians, listen, this is priority type of thing. So I guess this is a start when you actually looked at what would be the impact. But for you, it would probably be huge. And it would be worth a while to start to look at these probably risk pathways, where's your biggest risk, and see if you can put some capacity right there of agriculture, for instance.
We talked about the impact and also with the different government institutions, and this is why it was elevated as a national alert. We talk about a catastrophic effect, right? That when the disease hits Ecuador, around 80,000 hectares will be damaged, and that will be mostly your small level, medium growers. And this is why they attended on this matter. Nevertheless, they need more resources, and that's one of the issues on several government institutions right now. Not only but all the development centers in our country, and this is something that we need to address, in push and to coordinate as well. Nevertheless, not expecting only public solutions, but we need also to unify on a private level with initiatives such as yours.
Also, and the agrocalidad should take care of the borders.
Yeah.
Como AEBE, como asociación, ¿hay algún plan de acción inmediato de ayuda al productor que en el caso que, en el supuesto no consentido que entre la enfermedad, ¿verdad? Haya como un fondo para poder ayudar al productor? ¿Por qué? Ustedes saben que la logística, nuestra idiosincrasia del productor, así sea grande o pequeño, es que los trabajadores mutan, salen, se cambian. Hay un descontrol total de eso. Entonces el productor, como esto es un negocio, nadie quiere perder plata. Si a mí me identifican enfermedad, lo primero que voy a hacer es quedarme callado. Yo no quiero perder plata. Entonces yo he visto que desde que empezó la enfermedad, ¿verdad? Se ha hecho mucha campaña sobre la identificación, sobre los síntomas, etcétera, etcétera, etcétera. Pero yo creería que habría que potencializar ese mensaje al productor de que no está solo. Tienes que comunicarlo porque imagínense con la logística que nosotros tenemos de migrar los trabajadores, de compartir los trabajadores de una finca a otra y no declararlo. Aquí sería de fácil contagio, de fácil contagio.
Los ríos van a Santa Elena.
Y sin considerar las zonas más peligrosas que serían los ríos, por las inundaciones, por el agua, etcétera, etcétera.
Hay varios puntos ahí. Y uno, sorry, pero uno, dentro del trabajo que se hizo en el foro, ¿no? Se estableció un paquete con Banco Ecuador para que de esta manera se sirva esa iniciativa. Sin embargo, ya con un fondo del gremio, ¿qué es lo que empezamos a hacer desde el año 2020? De eso todos conocen la realidad del gremio porque hemos sido transparentes en el manejo de las auditorías y las cuentas. Pero habíamos cogido un gremio que estaba en negativo y con deudas. Entonces, ¿qué es lo que hicimos en principio? Sanear toda la parte financiera, que tomó 1 año y medio. Y a partir de eso creamos diferentes iniciativas gremiales, ¿no? ¿Qué es lo que nos ha llevado a estas iniciativas gremiales? Las plataformas como las convenciones, las ferias afuera, todo eso está fondeando a la asociación. Y hoy tenemos un fondo que lo hemos venido usando en diferentes acciones de defensa aprobadas por las comisiones técnicas y ahí llevadas a la gobernanza y ahí a la asamblea de los socios en los reportes. Defensa con la parte de la Unión Europea, con las acciones justamente de advocacy que estamos haciendo allá, las campañas, todo eso ha sido financiado por parte de las asociaciones. Acciones incluso legales en torno a la defensa del sector, porque tenemos una planificación estratégica de varios años. Y claro, ahora lo que queremos llevar es que haya más participación de todas las empresas miembros de la asociación en todas estas iniciativas, indicando que estas iniciativas no solo los eventos o lo que participas, sino lo que estamos generando es un fondo ya no solo para la defensa en torno a la parte legal y campañas afuera, sino para los temas de investigación. Pero eso es un proceso que hemos venido trabajando desde el año 2020. Tomarlo en negativo y tomarlo con deuda ya de por sí fue un gran desafío para todos. Entonces ahora lo que estamos haciendo es empujando esto, porque si estamos conscientes que el tema de investigación no solo tiene que venir de iniciativas como la parte pública, sino nuestras también. Y el tema también es que cuando había anteriormente acciones que había que tomar en torno a la defensa, habían situaciones también como dicen vulgarmente, pasar el sombrero. Y eso es incómodo para todos. O sea, ahora ya no estamos pasando el sombrero para ningún tipo de acción. Ninguna cuota extraordinaria en torno a las acciones de defensa que tenemos. Y tenemos bien medido que en un proceso de 3 años, un trabajo de política pública, hemos ahorrado al sector $120 millones. 147 acciones concretas. Entonces, con resultados lo que queremos es dar la confianza a todos los miembros que estas plataformas sirven para estos puntos y pronto poder justamente ir hacia los temas de investigación. Eso es algo que lo tenemos bien planteado, pero teníamos que tener bases sólidas. Porque el momento que tú dices pasa el sombrero a todos, es complicado. Ya lo hemos hecho y es complejo. Entonces aquí tiene que salir iniciativas en ese entorno y también los que estén dispuestos a hacerlo, tomar contacto en torno a las iniciativas que ya hay productores que están entrando a la iniciativa del aporte con el POL directamente.
y productores exportadores, unos miembros de la asociación, otros no miembros, ¿no? Entonces, que partió justamente de la socialización que veníamos haciendo. Retomar los esfuerzos de socialización, sí, nos comprometemos en aquello, ¿no? En las plataformas que yo mencioné, por eso el equipo nos está acompañando. Pero en torno el fondo de la asociación lo estamos manejando de esa manera, y obviamente este fondo lo aprobará la asamblea de AEBE el momento que podamos llegar a ese número en torno al tema de investigación. Ahora lo hemos usado, como todos ustedes lo conocen, en otro tipo de acciones que han sido más de defensa. Y ahora, obviamente, tenemos que empezar acciones en ofensiva y en torno a las problemáticas que tenemos a mediano y largo plazo. Pero ha sido un gran desafío en el manejo de varios frentes. Y sin duda, es un frente muy importante para nosotros, y por eso agradecemos siempre la apertura que tenemos con CIBE y el liderazgo que ellos están llevando en torno a la academia del lado privado, buscando todas las iniciativas de todos los actores, y tenemos que comunicar internamente para que formen de manera independiente, y cuando podamos hacerlo como gobierno, lo podamos hacer.
Sí, sí, la verdad que lo conocemos, José Antonio. Y desde la academia nos dimos cuenta que había un distanciamiento muy grande, una brecha muy grande entre la industria y la ciencia, la investigación, sea de academia o sector público, como lo queramos llamar. Y ese ha sido nuestro compromiso durante todos estos años, de ganar esa confianza con resultados. Hemos trabajado con AEBE muy fuertemente, con algunos asociados en proyectos privados, y la idea es de que comiencen a creer más en la investigación, porque hay capacidad. Pero los resultados no se obtienen sin inversión, definitivamente, y productos como de los que estamos hablando de plantas resistentes, mejoramientos tradicionales toman 10 a 15 años. Y estos consorcios que están formados tienen ya inversiones fuertes. Entonces, la idea es que, siendo Ecuador el país número 1, podamos tener un programa sólido y tener material resistente propio, élite, adaptado a nuestras condiciones. Eso es mi mayor preocupación y el objetivo que prima en nuestras mentes, porque no sabemos la calidad de los otros materiales que han sido desarrollados en otros lados. Sin hablar lo del licenciamiento, propiedad intelectual. Entonces, la idea es desarrollar ya como Ecuador, como nación, materiales propios y seguir el camino. Porque Ecuador tiene que seguir creciendo, y en eso compartimos, creo, los ideales. Seguir creciendo y seguir siendo líder exportador. Entonces, de nuestra parte, abiertos siempre, y seguiremos siendo siempre aliados de AEBE y de todos sus socios en cuanto a investigación.
Ahorita que mencionaba José Antonio, que nos han visitado ya algunos productores en el CIBE buscando alguna colaboración, se me vino a la mente, bueno, obviamente la variedad resistente, ni siquiera tolerante, ¿no? Resistente es la solución, no tenemos que buscarla, ¿no? Pero sí hay reportes de alternativas que han funcionado para mitigar la enfermedad un poco mientras se desarrolla esta variedad. Ayer comentaba Sebastián Zapata de Cenibanano en Colombia, el director de Cenibanano en Colombia. En Colombia han tenido buenos resultados con el uso de microorganismos, pero no es cualquier microorganismo. Aquí en Ecuador se usan muchos microorganismos, pero a nosotros nos llegan muestras de microorganismos, y cuando las analizamos no hay nada de microorganismos, es un agua sucia en lo que están aplicando, ¿no? Sabemos que hay empresas que están ofertando bioreactores, les ponen los bioreactores en las bananeras para que produzcan sus propios microorganismos, pero si no se hace bien, se contaminan y en la aplicación no van a haber resultados. Entonces, no es que el microorganismo no funcione, sino que el proceso no es bueno o el microorganismo no es el apropiado, ¿no? Yo he sabido de casos, y eso está publicado, en que el uso de microorganismos ha llegado a tener una tolerancia similar a la tolerancia de formosana, por ejemplo, ¿no? 70 hasta 80%. Y que incluso quienes trabajan con formosana también tienen que aplicar ciertos microorganismos para cuando el inóculo es muy alto, ¿no? Entonces, ahí hay otra área que se puede explorar. Estamos trabajando nosotros con 3 productores en esos temas, más que todo orgánicos, son productores, no, uno sí es convencional, todos son orgánicos, para identificar de su propio sector, de su propio cultivo, los microorganismos que ya están adaptados, que no van a tener problemas, ¿no? Y que tienen una eficacia muy alta y que podrían ayudarle, ¿no? La salud del suelo es sumamente importante para prevenir futuros problemas, ¿no? Entonces, ese es uno de los proyectos dentro del programa grande que nosotros tenemos, que permite mitigar un poco o controlar un poco la situación mientras llegamos a esa variedad tolerante, ¿no? Hay otros proyectos más del uso de ARN de inhibición, micorrizas, sí, injertos meristemáticos, es algo súper novedoso en banano, ¿no? Que estaremos dispuestos a conversar con ustedes. Así como, bueno, así como nos han bienvenido ustedes muy calurosamente hoy, los invitamos que nos visiten en el CIBE, en la SPOL, podemos compartir con ustedes todo lo que hemos desarrollado. Si quieren hacer pruebas con sus productores o sus plantaciones, podemos arreglar eso. Nosotros encantados, ¿no? Bienvenidos siempre a la SPOL, al CIBE, con mucho gusto.
Gracias.
Gracias.
One last question, Altus, and to give several conclusions to what we've been discussing. But at the end of the day, and I go through the question that Pablo mentioned, what recommendations, just to finalize a bunch of it's been always very interesting to discuss with Sweden. What are the recommendations for, and I give you back the questions, for government institutions such as Agrocalidad in terms of bioagriculture? Right now we have Formosa being tested. We have different initiatives such as yours as well on the clones that you have mentioned. Which one would you recommend to put all the efforts in, like just to put it one at this stage that we have as a sector, the recommendation, and for government institutions? Recommended.
Yes, and let's take the politics out of one recommendation. For Masana, and I'll give you a very good reason for it. It's been proven in several places where it's been grown. It is a commercial, already proven to be exported and everything. But the most important, where Masana is coming, is other things in the pipeline. So you build a relationship with something. And I would not build that relationship with Galicek or the Royal Laboratory, but with TPRI itself. And I would recommend to you that you probably invite them. And I will give you the name of who you need to invite, because even though this person is retired, the current director doesn't have the passion for these things like these guys were coming. Shipping Chow is one of the people. And the other Shipping Chow, I can Shipping Chow, C-H-I, Chow is C-H-A, Chow is this. Chow, Chow, with C, Chow, yeah. And then the other one is Shen Shon Wang, who's really the father. I need to go, but I can send it to you also. But either you have to let them come here or you go there. And you can mention that I told them that you've got things in the pipeline. And you should negotiate with them that you get those things and start testing those things, so that you have something in the basket. As I see it, and Freddie, you have more knowledge, I cannot see that a gene-edited plant will be available commercially within the next 5 years. Right. So in the interim, if you find next year this fungus is here, you have no other choice but to use these double clones if you want to grow banana. The other option is just eradicate. But you might have competition from the growers itself. It might be a small guy and he says, I'm going to go on and stop it. So if you need to find something, it would be that. The second thing in terms of Agrocalidad, I would really think they need to employ huge capacity in the areas where it's most risky, and that's in the south. And even if this means inspections, unintended inspections, I know it's pretty hard, but this is part of your economy and seriously part of your economy and well-being, you know, socially as well. So I agree with you absolutely. Their effort should be increased tremendously. That's my two priorities right now. It was a third thing that I thought should be important as well, but I will get to that as well. But testing and employing it in a way that it's a sustainable type of solution. For instance, I don't know, excuse me, I don't know if any of you have visited Philippines here. I'm planning to. But it would be interesting to learn how they actually manage it in this situation. Because there are many companies that's growing bananas that just continue growing bananas in the presence of SDR4.
And they've implemented their export volumes since
So decreased 40%.
no, but since it started in 2008, they was the first period of time they were able to increase area.
Yes.
They increased area. They tried to compensate, but now they decreased.
One of the persons in field that I'm always talking, and also to the Philippine skill, what they're doing in the fields is that they're intensively planting. So they never stop planting. You know, and this is also risky because of the soil, how you're treating the soil. That this is one of the things that it has been telling me on the process. I haven't been there, but I'm talking and the cost yeah. So they intensively keep planting.
So when did this fungus come into Philippines? Around 2004, even earlier than that. They have a lot of islands, as you know, but three main areas: Mindanao, where the banana production, the cannabis production, export. Then they've got the ties and Luzon, with heaps of susceptible plants, and it's never spread to any of these other areas. Which also tells a story that it is possible to stop that thing from moving forward.
Confinement.
Yes. The problem is if people start doing things illegally and move things, you know, then you have no control over it, or hiding. But any country, you know, Australia, I don't know if you follow the situation, it's now 7 years since it's been introduced. It's 5 farms in a highly dense area that's affected at the moment. But this is resources. This is when the government and the industry absolutely comes together and say, like, and they have the luck that they've only got 12,000 hectares and you've got 200,000 hectares.
It's kind of like a police that goes over the fields and crazy.
Yeah.
I think that's what I am.
So practically it's not possible for you. But still, you know, I think one has to try and learn as much as you possibly can from other countries how they either deal with this or and I spoke to an Indian this morning. This is 2 years, no problem with this. So this.
No, but I think one of the issues is going to be finding the variety which could apply to the that's one of the main points that we have to be focused, and the one that we are also developing, but on the short term, the formula.
I mean, the other one is not the C4, but the cal. Someone is talking about cal, and I haven't seen any data, so I cannot speak to you about this cal. If it's been tested, I have no clue. So
they've been testing it, but it's a little bit difficult on the share information side. So right now, what we wanted to do is to get it approved in order go through the protocols here in Ecuador in order to prove it on Ecuadorian soil. The company with the governing institutions and see how it behaves.
But I would also like, sorry, ATRPs also.
Exactly.
I would like to see how it performs against the threat.
But third parties,
Right,
like
third
for-
party,
but-
exactly.
I mean, well, what we always push as academia or scientists is just to have clear evidence on such a trait. For instance, in this case, resistance. For instance, for Mosama having tested like so many countries, several third parties, like academia, research institute, and they all come to the same conclusion. They are partially resistant or tolerant to TR4. But I have no evidence whatsoever with the other one. So that's why we want you to make sure that you have data by third parties about its claim. That's the thing. You just be careful about it.
Yeah, we have taken into account within the discussions that we've been having with the company. It is something that we're talking about. Good. Altus,
Thank you so much for your
Thank
time.
you. And we have, as an association, we have a special gift. This is our culinary guide that we are promoting in all the international markets and fairs. This is we explain here the Ecuadorian banana history in English and Spanish. Yes. The difference between also conventional and organic, and how do you use it in different textures.
I think that's something you were looking for.
I was looking for something like this. How do you replace 40 minutes? This is one special gift.
Can I ask you one favor that you write to me something in the right inside this gift, because that will be something very special.